That's AndrewTheHomebuyer.com.
At WinCo, we're working to save you money. Big savings on top quality meat, produce, seafood, and deli. Bakery fresh breads, cakes, and cookies made daily in store. Low prices on top quality national brands and thousands of our own private label. In every aisle, every department, every day.
Yeah, so, Rising Game starts at Wednesday.
Every aisle, every department, every day.
Rising Game starts at Wednesday.
I'm Ultima Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Every time one of my children started driving, it was terrifying. I am quite aware of the dangers being on the road. Thousands of accidents happen across the country. We see it every day. These families' lives will be changed in an instant. We fight for these families as if they were our own. We've become America's largest injury law firm by winning cases just like these. If you've been injured in a car accident,
It's the lunch break.
All righty, welcome in to the lunch break on a Wednesday. No Chris Schubert today. Producer Evan filling in, taking the reins, doing the entire show. Chris feeling a little under the weather, so wishing him all the best. It'll be the producer of the program, Evan Reiser, hosting the lunch break this morning. We're going to get right into it. It's a packed show. Cardinals, they named a new quarterback. Suns had a tough loss. D-backs, maybe a little free agency talk. We're going to get right into it with our top story of the day.
Time for our top story of the day. It's the Daily Special.
No doubt where we're starting today. The Cardinals have done it. They have named a new starting quarterback. they're going to roll with Jacoby Brissett for the rest of the year. Benching or soft benching Kyler Murray. It felt like maybe Jonathan Cannon a little coy in his press conference yesterday on why they're going to roll with Jacoby, talking about the health of Kyler Murray, letting him get fully healthy. But right now, for the time being, it'll be Jacoby Brissett as the starting quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. And I think we talked about this yesterday. Why go back to Kyler Murray? The offense has looked more efficient under Jacoby. It's just been flat out better. And 2 weeks ago, you could make the argument this team is still 0-2 under Jacoby Brissett. That argument no longer in play. They get a win on Monday night against the Cowboys. And it's another game where the offense just looked more efficient. They put up 27 points again against the Cowboys, were able to move the ball. But for me, most importantly, able to put the game away in the fourth quarter. That's what they've been struggling with all year. You can talk about 5 straight losses, all of which resulting in fourth quarter losses. But flat out, Jacoby's been the better quarterback in the 3 games that he has played than Kyler was in the first 7, or Kyler was in the first 5, and that's been the storyline. So for Jacoby Brissett, they will go with the wily veteran for the rest of the year. And the numbers say it, right? Brissett in his 3 games, 860 passing yards, the 6 touchdowns, just the 1 turnover. You compare that to Murray's 5 games, 962 through the air for Murray, 6 touchdowns, 3 picks. Obviously more turnover prone for Murray, but I actually think that's not even the biggest point. It's Jacoby looking more efficient. Last week, we saw them on Monday night have a 3-play drive coming out of the half, and they hit Michael Wilson on a crosser where he goes 50, run the ball for 11, and hit Trey McBride in that front right pylon for a touchdown. That's the key. That is why they're going to roll with Jacoby for the rest of the year, if you ask me. It's a more efficient offense with Jacoby Brissett at the helm, but most importantly, you drafted a guy 4th overall and you paid a tight end. And I don't think there's anybody that's a listener of this program, that's a fan of the Arizona Cardinals, that would sit down and argue, in all honesty, why you would go with Murray for these young guys. Flat out, Marvin Harrison Jr. has been a better receiver. And I think it really came to show on Monday night against the Cowboys, has been a better receiver with Jacoby Brissett. Now, I don't know if it's a confidence thing in the offense and the way it's being run. I don't know if he feels that Jacoby throws a more catchable football because the drops have seemed to fall by the wayside. And I know it's only been 3 weeks, but there've been a better looking receiver out of Marvin Harrison Jr. And even going back to that first game we saw Brissett play against the Colts, listen, Marv got knocked out of that game, but had the 2 grabs for 32 yards in the first quarter. We talked about it yesterday. He hasn't had a 100-yard receiving game all year long and was on pace for 120 in that one, had 96 yesterday on Monday. So it's been a more efficient Marvin Harrison Jr. with Jacoby Brissett. And then we can get into Trey McBride. I've talked about it countless times on this show. This is a team that has 2 solid receiving options. One that I think we would classify as one of the best tight ends in all of football in Trey McBride. And what Trey McBride is able to bring to this offense, you have to go to him on your big plays. Coming out of the half, I need a score. I'm going to go Trey McBride. 3rd down late in the game, I want to go to Trey McBride. Need a first here, I want to go to Trey McBride. In the red zone, short yardage. That's the reason you pay him, as at the time, was shortly broken after, but at the time, the number 1 tight end in football, because he's in that conversation. And I know that sounds crazy to say, but he is. And I think Jacoby Brissett has recognized that and understood to go to their best players in the biggest moments. And I think we see that with Marv on the goal line. He ran the best route of his career put Bland in a blender and the best route of his career and was able to get into the end zone. That's a one-read throw, right? That is play action, hit your back foot. If it's open, I'm throwing it. If it's not, I'm throwing it away. And it was wide open. That's the confidence that I think Jacoby Brissett has allowed this team to have. And the other conversation that I think really it comes down to is for Jonathan Gannon, if he was to move back to Kyler Murray, does he find himself losing the locker room? And if he finds himself losing the locker room, that would become a much bigger issue, because if he lost the locker room, now we're talking about a coach that in his third year has had a really tough start to the season after 2 years where get my guys in place in year one, start to build in year two, and you fall just short of the playoffs. And year three, you're supposed to take that next step forward. And for the Cardinals, that next step forward felt like maybe being the 7th seed, sneaking into the playoffs, or falling just short. That conversation went by the wayside when you lose 5 in a row, 5 of which resulting in fourth quarter losses. That conversation has felt like over. Nobody thinks the Cardinals are a playoff team. And so for Jacoby Brissett to step in and while having 2 of those 5 losses, feel like he steadied the ship a little. You played the Packers, you played the Colts, 2 very good football teams, and you played them down to the fourth quarter. And they weren't able to do that with good football teams last year. So they were able to take him to the fourth quarter. Now, not win those games, because we all know the fourth quarter has been a problem. And yes, they did lose the fourth quarter on Monday night. But I don't think you can sit here and argue that they didn't look better, because I thought their ability to run the ball, especially after the fumble late, I think there was a massive concern for everyone in the conversation that when the Cowboys are driving, it's like, oh, here we go again. But luckily, you get the fumble, you fall on it. And then I was impressed with the Cardinals' ability to run the ball late. And part of that is having Amari DiMercato have some really efficient runs. And he was a big part in why they won that game. He almost had 6 yards a carry. So I thought the running game looked better under Brissett. And I'm not blaming that all on Murray, because you love Murray's ability to run and to extend plays. I don't know if that's what this team needs right now. And, you know, I see a comment over on the YouTube, Michael can't go back now. We're going to talk about that later in the show in hour number 2. It certainly feels as if this team has no way back, right? The only way is forward. And for the Cardinals, that's what they're going to have to do. Move forward with Jacoby Brissett as the starter, unless of injury. I just don't see a way. And like I said, I don't want to do the show before the show. We'll get into that in the hour number 2. But I don't seriously see a way that the Cardinals could turn back to Kyler Murray after these 3 weeks. Again, had the Cardinals lost on Monday, the argument becomes, well, they're 0-3 with Jacoby anyway. What's the difference? But they win. They win with the offense looking more efficient. And now you can sit down and say, well, we look like a better football team. We were 2-3 with Murray. We are 1-2 with Brissett. What's the difference? But we look more efficient. That's the biggest answer. You were able to hang in there, played a 4-point game with Green Bay, played a 4-point game with Indianapolis. We're talking about a Green Bay team who, has lost this week to the Panthers and lost to the Browns, but has been dominant in weeks and looked like the best team in football to a lot of people. We're talking about an Indianapolis Colts team that, let's face it, before this week was the best team in football. Best team in football. They scored 31 points. Cardinals hung in there. And last night, or 2 nights ago, you beat Dallas 27-17. 3 straight weeks, 27, 23, 27. Before that week, the offense was not able to put up those kind of outputs that they have in the last 3 weeks. That's the difference. They are better across the board. And it's not just the quarterback play. It's getting your young receiver that you drafted 4th overall involved, getting him more confident. We all saw the article with Marvin Harrison Sr. talking about how he couldn't be a Hall of Famer in this Cardinals offense if you placed him in it in his prime. You know why? Marv had a confident quarterback. Marv had Reggie Wayne on the other side, and we'll get into why I think this team needs a wide receiver too, and did they hurt themselves by not doing anything maybe yesterday at the deadline or in the offseason, not just at receiver, but across the board. I look at Jacoby Brissett and I say, my best wide receiver is better. My star tight end is better. How do you not make the move to stick with Jacoby? It makes way more sense for this football team. And yeah, the record says 1-2, but the offense is more efficient. There's no argument about that. They have put up numbers that Murray has not been able to put up. We talked about it the other day on the show. They are gaining more yards. It's about 80 more yards with Jacoby Brissett under center per game. They're getting about 8 to 10 more first downs than they did under Kyler Murray per game based on Jacoby Brissett. The only thing that coming into the Cowboys game, you could argue Murray was better than at Brissett was his red zone efficiency. The Cardinals were slightly more efficient with Kyler Murray in the red zone than they were with Jacoby Brissett, and I get it, right? You add Murray's legs in the red zone, it becomes a different weapon. They got to the red zone more with Jacoby Brissett, and on Monday night, they were 3 of 4 in the red area. So that efficiency conversation feels like it goes away too. So if you're one of the coaches, if you're in that front office, how do you sit down and say, we're going to go back to Kyler Murray if the only argument is, well, we're going to have to move off him? And if that's the argument, I'm sorry, it's not good enough. Because if Kyler Murray comes out there and plays the way he did to start the year, what value are you gaining anyway? That's my biggest question. What value in a trade could you gain if he comes out and plays the rest of the season, coming off injury, by the way, like how he started the season? And if he's worse, do I lose value? You probably do lose value by him not playing. But would you gain any if he did? And if the argument is no or very little, then you have to go with Jacoby because he gives this team and this coaching staff a better chance. And for this coaching staff, that's very important because we've talked about it on this show. They are not in a firm seat right now. They're not on firm footing. I'm not calling it thin ice, but I'm saying they need to be good towards the end of the year because in a year where they were supposed to take another step forward, they've taken 2 backwards. So that's it. The Cardinals officially rolling with Jacoby Brissett for the time being. It'll be the veteran quarterback, and we'll see how they play for the next couple weeks. But in exciting news, new quarterback here in town. We'll see how it goes with the tight end, with the young receiver. A lot of excitement, but it will be Jacoby Brissett. Next, the Suns fall last night in Golden State, and it was another slow start. What can they do to fix it? That's next here on KDUS AM 1060.
The Varsity Sports Show with Vince D'Alessio is your hub for everything high school and college sports. Join Vince and friends as they give you the full picture on student athletes and where they're heading. Live interviews with coaches across the valley.
Asking some of the tough questions.
Varsity recaps and in-depth interviews with tomorrow's sports stars. The Varsity Sports Show with Vince D'Alessio. Live every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. Here on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Head coach Brian Wright and the Lumberjacks are setting a new standard in Flagstaff.
Happy with our attitude, our effort, how we've come together as a football team.
Join us Saturday. NAU hosts the Northern Colorado Bears. Our coverage begins at 2 on your home for Lumberjack football.
Skips his way into the end zone. Touchdown, Lumberjacks.
The NAU Lumberjack Sports Network from Learfield.
Bad Omens. Do you feel love? North American Tour 2026. Live at Desert Diamond Arena, March 24th. Bad Omens. With special guests, Beartooth and President. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Bad Omens, live in Glendale.
'Tis scratches season, and all through the state, the Arizona Lottery is giving people something to celebrate. Grab your friends and gather round for the chance to win $250,000 with cash countdown. Peppermint scented candy cane cash is available at any Arizona Lottery retailer in a flash. Gift these and 4 more games for any reason, because there are more than $80 million in prizes this season. This year and all, we wish you a happy holiday. From Arizona Lottery, love the play.
Who is Farm Bureau Financial Services? At our core, we're relationship builders. We're home and auto bundlers, life insurers, farm and ranch protectors, and retirement planners. We're neighbors, community members, and friends. We're the people you can count on now and for years to come. Find a Farm Bureau agent at fbfs.com/protect. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company, Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company.
Jim Rome here with your Rome Report. Not that anyone ever needed proof of this because, well, we've been saying it for years, and his garbage on the field product speaks for itself. But Jerry Jones just told Stephen A. Smith the silent part out loud. Quote, the Dallas Cowboys probably have the kind of interest that we have in no small part because we stay out front and we stay controversial. When it gets slow, I stir that bleep up. Fact, I just want to be relevant. I just want you looking at us. End of quote. Right, kook. Now tell us something we didn't already know. It's almost like he took one of my rants, had somebody transcribe it for him so he could regurgitate it. How many years have we been saying you're not about winning, geriatric? You're about getting people to look at you. How do I know? 1, you finally admitted as much. And 2, I saw Arizona curb stomp you last night. If you really are in it to win it, my guy, you are really bad at your job. I'm Jim Rome. Remember, you can follow me on Instagram at Jim Rome as well.
O'Reilly. Check engine, ABS, or maintenance light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. The service is free and provides a report with solutions verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we can recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
KDUS AM 1060 is your home for the Jim Rome Show.
This is what I mean when I say that was a collapse for the ages. An all-time tank job. Not only did the Giants lead 19-0 going into the fourth quarter, they scored 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns, and they still lost. The Giants were 99.8% to win that game, according to ESPN. But according to the Broncos, the number was actually 0.0%.
Here on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Welcome back into the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060. Not Chris Schubert today. Producer Evan filling in. Chris a little under the weather. wishing him a speedy recovery, getting back into the chair. It'll be the two of us, hopefully, for the rest of the week. But today, just me filling in here on the lunch break. And last night, the Suns played another one, their 8th game of the year, with a chance to go to 500, 4-4 in Golden State. And I think it's been the story all year. Another slow start for the Suns out of the gate. And they just weren't able and aren't able with the current roster, especially without Jalen Green, to come back from these massive deficits that they've built themselves early in the year. And I think with a young coaching staff, you're hoping that they've learned or are learning from these mistakes early in the game, but they got outscored by 14 points in the first quarter, and they only put up 19, right? So you lose that first quarter 19-33, and you're already punching up at a Golden State team who we all know can still put you away with the best of them. And the Suns were just never able to climb out of that hole. That continued on into the second quarter. Again, this time you play a little bit of better basketball, but you lose the second quarter as well. So you're going into the half down 19 points, and it just feels like too little too late. And yeah, we've seen them come back on teams this year, but do you really feel like they have the talent to come back on a Golden State team, especially on the road? And a underrated story to this point, just 8 games in, the Suns 0-4 on the road. So they've struggled away from home. And that's been a storyline, and it's been a big factor into why they've started this season 3-5. And I think 3-5 is probably where a lot of people thought they'd be. If you project that out almost at an eighth of the year, you're talking about a team that goes 30-50. 30.5 is the over-under. You add those two. You know, you essentially get the Vegas number. I mean, those people continue to dominate with the over-unders, the spreads. It's insane. But 3-5 start for the Suns and an 0-4 loss. And yeah, they just don't feel like they have the scoring options that they did in the past, obviously. But without Jalen Green out there, who else do you turn to other than Devin Booker? And Devin Booker with a great night, played 39 minutes at 38 points, shot 54% from the field. That's including, by the way, he was 1 for 5 from 3. So he was extremely efficient outside of the three-point ball. And so when your number one scorer is that efficient and drops 38 points, you just need a second option. And for the Suns, they were unable to find one. Yeah, you did have guys like Mark Williams get involved with 16 points of his own. Grayson Allen get involved with 16 points of his own. By the way, it was great to see Mark Williams' minutes go up. He played 27 minutes last night. So again, getting him more involved and was in the starting lineup again. So can we see Mark Williams kind of integrate himself more into this starting lineup? How are they going to play that injury factor? Because that's something we've talked about here on this show. Early in the year, we didn't see him start. We saw him sit out those back-to-backs, a guy who's dealt with a lot of career injuries. Now we're seeing those minutes bump up, and I'm not saying 27 is all 39 that Devin Booker played or all 35 that Grayson Allen registered. But 27 minutes is a really good number for Mark Williams, and I imagine that'll be on the higher end of where he sits for most of this year. We don't expect him to play in many of those back-to-backs. I expect that to continue, but really just another performance. And Colin Gillespie, a guy we've talked about on this show, got 21 minutes last night. The 8 points wasn't extremely efficient from the field, but Colin Gillespie to this point in the year has provided the team a spark that I don't think many of us expected to the extent that he's given. Right, he's been kind of an answer off the bench in a lot of spots, and so it's been fun to watch the younger guys continue to improve. We'll see if that happens. Again, Malawach didn't get into the game last night, so they have not been able to get some of those younger guys more minutes, some of their draft picks more minutes, but we expect that to happen. You brought in Jordan Ott to be this player development coach and change the culture. And I think last year, as somebody who sat down and wasn't a part of the show, but watched the games, I think there's a feeling that team would have quit last year. And it didn't feel like they quit in the second half. Did they have the answers to the test and were they able to come back? No, they weren't able to finish the job. But you come out and you win the third quarter and you cut a 19-point deficit at the half to just 9 going into the fourth. And you give yourself a chance to play, right? You lose the game by 11, but you were down 19 at half. This is a team that last year probably quits in a scenario like that. But I think under this new regime, I don't think we're going to expect that. Chris and I sat here on this show and talked about how this Suns team is going to be more fun, how they're going to be just more enjoyable to watch. And early last night, it did not feel like that. Certainly did not feel like this team has been or is being more enjoyable to watch, especially to the halfway point. But that second half, that third quarter, you come out and it felt like you punched Golden State in the face there for just 12 minutes of basketball. But it was that response that I wanted to see, that I've been excited to see from the Suns. We don't think they're going to be a 6 seed, a 5 seed in this West. But listen, they have a chance to play for a play-in game. They certainly do. But more importantly, you want to see that culture change. And I think last night, despite an 11-point loss on the road and your 4th straight road loss and no wins on the road this year, showed a little bit of the culture that we have been wanting to see out of the Suns. Because there's no doubt in my mind that last year's team most likely quits in that scenario. And last night, they didn't. They fought really hard and were able to get it done. So, listen, they fought really hard, weren't able to get it done, but a lot of fight from that Suns team. And I think something we have been pretty excited to see when it comes to this Suns. Coming up next here on the lunch break, MLB free agency is starting. World Series, it's over. So free agency starting to kick up, and you have to ask the question, are the D-backs going to have a reunion? A lot of former D-backs on the market this year. Could they have a reunion? Maybe with one of their former starting pitchers. That's next here on the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
Join in on the Sports Zoo with Dave Rooster Bierstein.
Oklahoma City taking out everybody on their way to a championship. One of the youngest, I think they average 26 years old. Yeah. Rich. As long as they have the Derek Jeter, Michael Jordan gene, or at least one person on that team, hopefully it's Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. They have a chance. And listen, it's human nature to be the best and think I'll be the best again. And then you fall short. I'm going to say Oklahoma City will not go back-to-back.
Live weekdays from 5 to 6 p.m. here on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
I got my first real 6-string.
Brian Adams, Roll with the Punches Tour 2025. A night full of hits, live at PHX Arena, Saturday, November 15th. With special guest Pat Benatar and Neil Giraldo. Get tickets now at LiveNation.com.
Fulton Homes celebrates Veterans Day by honoring the Pat Tillman Foundation and their nearly 1,000 Tillman Scholars. Now through Veterans Day, Fulton Homes and the Big Red Radio will honor a different Tillman Scholar and share their story. Fulton Homes is proud to support the Pat Tillman Foundation with a donation in honor of each weekly scholar. The Pat Tillman story is well known, and his principles and service are his true legacy. The Pat Tillman Foundation carries forward that legacy by giving service members, veterans, and military spouses who embody those principles the education, support, and leadership tools they need to reach their fullest potential. This Veterans Day, join Fulton Homes and 98 KUPD as we honor and salute the Pat Tillman Foundation and their Tillman Scholars. For more information on the Fulton Homes Veterans Day Honor Roll, go to 98kupd.com/honor roll and join the salute.
Sometimes a girl in my class doesn't bring anything to eat for lunch.
The truth is, in America, 1 in 5 kids worry about their next meal.
I want everybody to have yummy food.
So do we. That's why Fry's donates surplus fresh food from our shelves to your local food bank. We've provided over 3.5 billion meals through our Zero Hunger, Zero Waste plan. Visit friesfood.com to see how you can help fight hunger and waste in our community.
Because nobody should have an empty tummy.
This winter, step into a world of wonder at the Tianyu Lights Festival, open now through January 4th at Camelback Ranch, Glendale, and Phoenix. Explore the 4 new themes: Bugs Aglow, Colors of Holidays, Rainforest, and Prehistoric Animals, which feature 70 glowing handcrafted lanterns. Enjoy delicious foods and beverages at our food court, explore the interactive lanterns, and complete your visit with a trip to the marketplace where you'll find unique souvenirs. Don't miss this unforgettable holiday experience. Tickets are available now.
This holiday season, elevate your event at Talking Stick Resort. From breathtaking views and a world-class golf course to 113,000 square feet of flexible event space, every detail sets the stage for an unforgettable holiday party. Whether it's cocktails under the stars or a fully produced banquet with state-of-the-art AV, Talking Stick has it all. Plus a luxurious spa for next-day recovery. Secure your celebration today. Talking Stick Resort, Scottsdale's premier destination for celebration. Life well played.
It's the Dan Patrick Show.
Shohei Ohtani had 2 home runs, 2 doubles. They also walked him 5 times, 4 intentionally. They've gotten to the point where he's getting Bonds treatment. I want you to pitch in shame. If you're going to intentionally walk him, I want you to throw the 4 pitches that look silly because you don't want to face him. I don't want it to be, hey, we're going to walk him and I point him to first base. Nope. I want you to acknowledge that you can't get him out and you throw those 4 pitches.
Weekdays, 7 to 10 a.m. right here on KTUS AM 1060 and the KTUS 1060 app.
Welcome back into the Wednesday edition of the Lunch Break. Appreciate everybody for hanging out today. Suns just got off a tough loss last night in Golden State. They go to 3-5. But I want to get into little MLB free agency. World Series is over. So that conversation starts, right? We get into it. Who's going where? And it's a big free agency, not only for the Diamondbacks, and we'll get into that here in a second, but across baseball. A lot of interesting free agents across the league. I mean, you start with Kyle Tucker, right? People think the Dodgers are going to be a play for Kyle Tucker. What does that mean? Are they possibly going to add to the back-to-back world champions with one of the most consistent hitters in the game? Cody Bellinger officially opted out of his contract with the New York Yankees. Where does he land? Kyle Schwarber is going to be an unrestricted free agent. Could he go back to the Phillies? Is he going to be a move? The Phillies have a lot of guys they're losing. Ranger Suarez going to be a free agency, one of the best left-handed pitchers in the game. Where could he go? Could he be another piece for a team to try and make a run here at the World Series? A lot of guys across all of baseball that are going to be free agents, and a couple former D-backs. So that's what I want to get into. For the Diamondbacks, could a return be looming? And could it be for Zach Gallen, a guy who got traded here from Miami in a prospect-to-prospect deal? Gallen had a couple starts in Miami as a top prospect, but the Diamondbacks shift Jazz Chisholm over there and get back Zach Gallen in return, and I think the rest is history. Zach Gallen's been kind of a polarizing figure since he got here, has stretches of complete dominance. We're talking about multiple scoreless inning streaks that rival some of the best. And then years like the start of this year where things were a struggle, and it just doesn't feel like if he's missing his spots, maybe he has the best stuff to get him out of it. But then you get a finish to this year where in the last 2 months, he was extremely efficient. Posted a 3.32 in the month of August and September in a time when the Diamondbacks were playing some really competitive baseball. That's what was fun about this year is after everything, after being sellers, they kind of stayed above water and gave themselves a chance in the final 10 days. And I know that final series, at that point, it was over. But in the last 10 days, you were within a game there at some points. And part of that is the Mets were falling and you let the National League wildcard come back to you. But that only happens because they played good baseball themselves. On the season, Zach Gallen, 13-15 record, a 4.83 ERA. He threw 192 innings pitched, gave up 176 hits. The walks were a massive problem, had 66 walks, posted a 1.1 WAR on the season, and the 175 strikeouts. That's the interesting part about Zach Gallen. This is a guy who, throughout his career and throughout the last few years, had struck out about 26.5% of his batters. Last year, we saw it down to 21.5%. So does a tough year from Zach Gallen almost bring him back to a Diamondbacks market, to a number that they can afford and they want to get in on? Because that, I think, is the biggest question. We've talked about what this free agency is going to look like for the Diamondbacks. And listen, we know they haven't been a playoff team for 2 years. They had a little bit of influx of money after 23 when they go to the World Series. And they spend it. And then in 24, they come up just short. Last day of the season. Didn't play particularly great baseball. But last day of the season just came up short. And everybody expected that payroll to cut back. They didn't do that. They gave Mike Hazen a green light and said, go spend. And last year, they did just that. And they spent more money than the team has ever spent to this point. They did it with one big name in Corbin Burnes. That was the big acquisition. They traded for Josh Naylor, who was a nice piece, and they were able to flip him at the deadline. But Corbin Burnes was a massive signing for this team. An ace in his prime, a guy who was supposed to take the ball as the number one. And unfortunately, it just didn't work out. Some elbow injuries and resulted in him getting Tommy John, not only missing all of this year, but going to miss most of next year. So now you have a team that traded away Merrill Kelly, a team that lost their ace due to injury, and Zach Gallen's going to be a free agent. Pitching's a massive hole. We talked about the bullpen were struggles all year. We know that's going to be something they need to fill. And we also talked about the starting pitching issues and how are they going to address that. We've talked about budget guys. You are looking to turn the corner and maybe turn back the clock on who they were. You know, Devin Williams was a guy we talked about maybe making that change back to a $9 million contract that the D-backs could get into. But talking about starting pitching, does Zach Gallen actually fit what this team needs? I'll tell you what, Jim Bowden over at The Athletic believes that Zach Gallen could see a 5-year, $135 million contract. That's about $27 million a year. In all honesty, how much money do the D-backs have to spend this year? 35 million? Less than that? 30? How much of a chunk of change does a Zach Gallen actually take up? Does it make sense for this Diamondbacks team to go out and sign that deal? Spotrac has a 4-year, $74.8 million, which brings you down to about $18.7 million. That's a deal that I think the Diamondbacks could sign. And I know it's crazy to see those two numbers about $9 million off. But I think that's the point with Zach Gallen. At his highs, he's one of the best in the league, right? When Zach Gallen is out there, and to pitching to the best of his abilities. Gosh, it's hard to say. There are many other pitchers. I'm not saying he's won what, but there are many other pitchers you'd rather see on the mound. A guy who has playoff experience. And I don't know. Is it possible for the D-backs to sign a $27 million contract AAV for the next 5 years for Zach Gallen? I don't think it is. But 18, that's more in their ballpark. Is Zach Gallen willing to take a hometown discount to stay here where he's built his career, where he's done most of the pitching throughout his career? I think when you take a look at the playoff numbers, think about how great he was at Milwaukee when he gave you 6 innings, 2 earned runs in a must-win wild card series. How about they win that series? They're making this magical run. They go to the division series, 3.18, 5.1 innings pitch at Dodger Stadium. And he struggled at Philadelphia in that first start. There's no doubt about it. But he battled through versus Philadelphia at home. This is a guy who has always given the D-backs good starts when it feels like they needed it most. And last year was kind of the perfect picture of that. They needed great starts down the stretch because we all know we had the meltdown meter here. They needed a lot of help from the starting pitching. And Zach Gallen felt like he was the calming hand of that group that could give them innings late in the year. And it didn't feel like that early. Certainly didn't. So that's the point with Zach Gallen. His career has felt like its highest highs has been awesome, and its lowest lows have been terrible. Can the Diamondbacks handle that? And for me, talking about Zach Gallen and what I think the Diamondbacks need, I don't know if you can sign up for another roller coaster starter. And I don't think you'll get a guy who, at his best, is as good as Zach Gallen is at his best. But I think that there's more of a flat line you can hit out there in free agency with some of these other names. We know pitching is going to be the focus for this Diamondbacks team. Eugenio Suarez, by the way, was in that article. He was talked about as a possible fit for the Diamondbacks. Not their best fit listed, but certainly a possible fit. But for the Diamondbacks, do you have money to spend at third base? We know you probably want an outfielder. There's the possibility Blaze Alexander gets the third base spot. I think everybody in this room, I know Chris, I'll speak for him at home. I know he believes Blaze has probably earned that third base spot. I know I believe he's earned that third base spot. And then the biggest X factor of it all is Jordan Lawler. Are you going to give Jordan Lawler a fair chance at making this roster? Jordan, we talked about the other day, was down in the Dominican Winter Leagues out there in center field. We didn't see them do that all year long in the minors, up at the major league level. Those first 2 stints at the major league level didn't go well. The last couple of months went a little bit better. So is Jordan Lawler going to be a guy who can take a spot? And if so, how many position players are you signing? Maybe a Paul Goldschmidt reunion? Give yourself a platoon option with him and Pavin Smith at first base. So that comes back to, I need guys in the bullpen. I probably need 2 starters. Maybe I sign a first base option. We talked about Harrison Bader, who just opted out of a mutual option with the Phillies. And if I want to do all those things and add depth into the bullpen and maybe add an outfielder, maybe add a platoon option at first base, how much are you willing to give Zach Gallen? Is he willing to take that hometown discount? I don't know if Zach Gallen is the guy that I would chase if I'm the Diamondbacks, but this article popped up on ESPN this morning about the top free agents and their best fits in the offseason. And I had to come out here and talk about it because I think it's very interesting about, could Zach Gallen make a reunion with the Diamondbacks? Could he extend with the Diamondbacks? I don't know if it's their best fit, but it'll be certainly interesting because it's going to be a very interesting offseason for what the Diamondbacks want to do. All right. One more segment left here in hour number one. Typically, we do buy or sell, but just me today. So no buy or sell. The NFL trade deadline was yesterday. What teams got better? What teams made some interesting moves? And did the Cardinals, did they do the right thing by standing pat? That's all next here on the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060.
Join ASU women's basketball this Saturday on KDUS AM 1060. The Lady Sun Devils are ready to attack the courts and give it their all against Eastern Washington. Jeff Munn will have the call live from Desert Financial Arena this Saturday afternoon. It's ASU versus the Eagles of Eastern Washington. Pre-game coverage starts at 1:30 p.m. and tip-off at 2 right here on KDUS AM 1060, online at KDUS1060.com, and streamed on the KDUS 1060 app.
My Chemical Romance, The Black Parade 2026. Live at Chase Field, September 6th, 2026. With special guest, Jimmy Eat World. Get tickets now at livenation.com. For more, visit mychemicalromance.com.
Every day begins with the promise of something new, a new perspective, a fresh start. At Banner Health, right here, right now, we're pioneering new ways to treat cancer with our own immune systems. We're among the first to treat Parkinson's with the patient's own cells. And we're a world leader in artificial heart implantation, all while training over 1,300 doctors every year. Impressive, right? It's just another Banner day. Banner Health.
Want something fast and fresh for lunch? Try the Peter Piper Pizza all-you-can-eat weekday lunch buffet. Available from 11 to 2 every Monday through Friday, Peter Piper Pizza's lunch buffet is loaded with delicious pizza, fresh chopped salad, garlic cheese bread, and our famous cinnamon crunch dessert. Our dough is made from scratch every day and topped with real mozzarella cheese and the freshest ingredients. For the best all-you-can-eat pizza and salad lunch buffet in town, head to Peter Piper Pizza from 11 to 2 every Monday through Friday. At Peter Piper Pizza, the fun is baked in.
Start saving early and get ready for the year's biggest deals at the Living Spaces Black Friday event. Discover stylish, modern sofas starting at just $295. Elevate your gatherings with dining sets from $295. Upgrade your bedroom with queen beds starting at $195. And sink into relaxation with ultra-comfy recliners at prices you won't believe. Plus, pay no interest for 24 months on select purchases with your good credit. Get it all before Thanksgiving with free shipping as soon as next day. Only at the Living Spaces Black Friday event.
Living Spaces.
NAU men's basketball action over on KAZG 1440. Join the Lumberjacks live as they prepare to give it their all against Justice College this Friday night. Head coach Shane Burkhardt looks to bring the Lumberjacks to new heights in the 2025-26 season. Join Mitch Stroman live on the call from Flagstaff. It's NAU versus Justice College this Friday. Pregame at 5:30 p.m. and tip-off at 6 over on KAZG 1440.
Welcome back into the lunch break on this Wednesday edition. Again, Evan Reiser filling in for Chris Schubert today. No Chris, feeling a little under the weather. We're wishing him a speedy recovery, but, I'm trying to drive the ship here in the meantime. And yesterday, kind of an eventful day. It was the NFL trade deadline. And I think for many, I know for me, probably one of the crazier ones of my lifetime. And I know there's trade deadline moves. Herschel Walker was traded. That ended up building the Cowboys dynasty. But I don't remember multiple trades. We're talking about Sauce Gardner, 2 first-round picks. And what a strange move. I think one that caught us all off guard. And then the Quinn Williams trade. I don't even know what to think. in all honesty. I don't know what to think from what the Cowboys wanted out of that trade, because you go back, to August? So now 3 months ago? And we're talking about an owner that sat up there and said, we traded Micah Parsons, or as he referred to him at the time, Michael Parsons. And the reason for trading him, I actually didn't even think was that crazy. They need a lot of help. And getting 4 players for Micah Parsons becomes a fair deal. And it feels like we can start to build this defense not around one player, as great as Micah Parsons is, but around multiple. And we can get more guys into this room because, yeah, this offense is great, but the defense needs a lot of help. I think we see them play every Sunday, or in our case, Monday night when the Cardinals beat them. But then they go out and make this move for Quinnen Williams, and you're thinking, well, this is a team now that, when you look at both trades, has traded Micah Parsons for Kenny Clark, Quinnen Williams, who, by all means, is a great player, older than Micah Parsons, has had 1 sack this year, 3 quarterback pressures, but a great player. So they traded Micah Parsons now for Quentin Nelson, Kenny Clark, and essentially moving up 15 spots in the draft. They got no additional picks out of both of these moves combined. Yes, they moved from a second-round pick to a first-round pick. All in all, it's still going to be a top 50 pick both ways. It's going to be a 10 to 15 pick difference max. This is a really strange move for the Cowboys after they just lost to be 3-5-1. Really, really strange move. That wasn't the only big move of the day. Sauce Gardner gets traded for 2 first-round picks and Adonai Mitchell. I've been on the record here on this show to have my feelings about A.D. Mitchell after his fumble through the end zone that lost me 3 points against the Rams for the Colts. But a good move for both teams. I thought the Jets, when you look at their day yesterday, yeah, they traded probably their 2 best players. Certainly their 2 best on defense. They now have 5 first-round picks over the next 2 years. Think about what that means for the Jets. 5 first-round picks over the next 2 seasons. Package that for a quarterback, and not just to move up in the draft to take your guy. Let's lay it out there. What if the New York Jets pick up the phone today and call Cincinnati and offer them 5 first-round picks for Joe Burrow? Does it have to be all 5? Could it be 4? So a crazy NFL trade deadline. Sauce Gardner headed to the Colts. Quinnen Williams headed to the Cowboys. Some other moves. Jacoby Myers was traded. And most people think maybe he's a deadline loser, but the newest Jacksonville Jaguar, the New Orleans Saints, they dealt our guy here on the show, Raheed Shaheed, who I thought maybe the Cardinals could be in on, and I want to touch on that. Should the Cardinals have added maybe a second wide receiver? Now you're going to make a quarterback switch. And I think it really started to kind of come into my mind as we read the article that was posted on ESPN on Monday morning. Marvin Harrison Sr. said he wouldn't be a Hall of Fame receiver in that room, in the Cardinals' current receiver room. And it made me think of 2 things. Obviously, the quarterback play, the offensive system. But Marvin Harrison got to play across some Hall of Famers. Right? Later in his career, Reggie Wayne gets added to that conversation. Does Marvin Harrison Jr. need a second receiver? And did the Cardinals hurt themselves by standing pat? I think we were all so impressed with how that defense played on Monday night. And more importantly than just the defense, how Walter Nolan played in his first NFL experience. It feels like they have a guy, doesn't it? It feels like they have a guy on the defensive front. And if his defense continues to play that way, are we going to sit back in 6 weeks and say, what could have been for the Cardinals? Gosh, it feels like maybe they have hurt themselves by not adding a wide receiver too. And I know this is a conversation we've had on this show many times, but should they have added a wide receiver too? Man, certainly feels like maybe they were in the market for one. Didn't do it, and I understand not being buyers. It's been a tough start to the year. You're 3-5, but need help for your young receiver. That's it for hour number 1. Thank you for hanging with us. In hour number 2, is that the last we're going to see of Kyler Murray in a Cardinals uniform? That's next. The lunch break. KDUS, AM 1060.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
Hey, what's up, Arizona? I'm here right now with Diane and Matt from Fisher Tools, and they are celebrating over 60 years of supplying the Arizona construction industry with the tools they need to get the job done. Right, Diane?
That's right, Paul. We've been family-owned for 3 generations, and we're still your go-to for the best tools and supplies in town.
Yeah, we've got everything from Milwaukee to Makita to DeWalt, plus an on-site dielectric glove testing facility to keep you safe while you work.
You know, I love Fisher Tools' commitment to safety and that you're family owned. That is awesome. And another thing that's awesome, I hear you've got a big party coming up. Tell me about that.
Yep. Customer Appreciation Day is December 3rd from 8 to 2. Over 30 vendors, live demos, giveaways, free lunch, and yes, the big red radio crew will be there.
So come for the tools, stay for the food. And don't worry, parking's free.
Well, that sounds like a can't miss event. I know I'm going to be there. You guys, you can visit Fisher Tools in Tempe or go online at fishertools.com for more info.
Nitro Circus is back with the all-new Off the Rails Tour. World-class daredevils and FMX, BMX, skate, scooter, and more. Jaw-dropping stunts, high-flying tricks, and never-been-done showdowns. Friday, December 5th, Desert Diamond Arena. Visit Ticketmaster.com.
Hey, it's Phil Shaver with HomeSmart, and I want to buy your house. I'm a local investor that buys homes for cash all over Maricopa and Pinell County. I buy inherited homes, nice homes, rental homes, homes that are behind on mortgage payments, and I even buy ugly homes that need fixing. Also, are you looking to get closer to market value for your house? As a licensed realtor, I've been able to buy and sell thousands of homes. Since I'm local, you can call me directly on my cell phone, 480-409-9999. Again, that's 480-409-9999. I don't work for a big corporation or hedge fund, so I can only buy 3 to 5 homes per month. There are no fees involved, and you can pick your own close date. The best part is I buy homes as is, so you don't have to worry about doing any repairs. Again, you can call me directly at 480-409-9999, or you can go to my website, gosoldaz.com. That's gosoldaz.com.
At Winco, we're working to save you money. Every aisle, every department, every day.
9 stores in the Phoenix area, including the new Santan Valley location.
Does your student struggle in a traditional school setting? For nearly 25 years, Primavera Online has helped Arizona K-12 students thrive with an accredited tuition-free education from home. Learn more at chooseprimavera.com. That's chooseprimavera.com.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
Welcome back in for hour number 2, the lunch break, here on KDUS AM 1060. Thanks for hanging with us, guys. Thanks for hanging with us. Filling in for Chris Schubert, Seven Riser, typically the producer of the program. Chris, a little under the weather today, not feeling great. We're wishing him a speedy recovery. Hopefully we can get our fearless leader on the program back in his chair. Right now it'll be me. Thank you guys for hanging out. This is actually my first time kind of hosting here, having a lot of fun. I appreciate everybody hanging out here on the YouTube. And we talked about it here in hour number 1. And we opened the show with it because I think it's the biggest story here in town. Not I think, I know it is. The Cardinals, Jonathan Gannon, and I thought he was a little coy with us all yesterday in his press conference, but they're going to roll with Jacoby Brissett for at least the time being. And I think the actual phrasing Gannon used was, let Kyler Murray focus on his health. I don't know how serious they are focusing on his health or how much they would want to roll with Jacoby here for the rest of the season. But I think nobody would sit here and not argue that the offense has been simply more efficient. With Jacoby Brissett at the helm, they won on Monday, put up 27 points, put up 27 against the Colts in Indy, put up 23, gave themselves a fighting chance against the Packers at home. They've been in every game with Jacoby Brissett at the helm, and I think that raises the question. In all honesty, is this the last time that we are going to see Kyler Murray start a game for the Cardinals? I want to get into that because I think there's a real possibility that could be the last time we see Kyler Murray start a game for the conversation. I want to get you guys here in on the conversation, 480-864-1060. Give me a call during the break. Let me answer the phone, but get into it here. I think that's an interesting conversation. I want to get the fans' opinion. Is that the last time you think you'll see Kyler Murray, barring injuries? If Jacoby gets hurt here for the rest of the year, I think they will turn it back to Kyler Murray, obviously. But I think my guy Code put up a great point. Kyler Murray said last year, quote, not his job to get Marvin Harrison Jr. more targets. And it's all Code, who's a loyal listener, a P1 over there on the YouTube. Love hearing from him in the YouTube chat. Really kind of jogged my memory on that statement because I think that's the biggest thing. That's the thing we've seen with Jacoby Brissett is him feel like he's unlocked Marvin Harrison Jr. in just those 3 games. I think we really saw it on Monday night. Boy, was he good. Probably the best game he's played, and numbers won't say that. You go back to week 2 against the Rams last year in just his second NFL game where he put up 130. But I thought he was really good on Monday night. And I thought his routes were crisp. I thought he looked confident. And I think that's one thing that he's been lacking all year. Has Marvin Harrison Jr. looked confident? For the first time, I thought so. And you turn back the clock just 2-3 weeks ago, I guess with the bye 3 weeks ago, to Monday or to Sunday when they played the Colts. And you think, man, just in that first quarter before he got hurt, before he went into concussion protocol, he had 2 catches, 32 yards. Saw him run across the middle. Saw him catch one across the middle and pick up 20. I think that was the first time where I thought, hey, maybe they've unlocked something here with Jacoby and Marv. And that was 1 quarter into Jacoby Brissett being the quarterback. In all seriousness, it was 1 quarter into Jacoby Brissett being the starting quarterback for the Cardinals, and that only continued. Kyler Murray, who has been the quarterback here for 7 years, people are still asking questions, and I know if Chris was here on this show right now, he would be saying, Evan's not a Kyler Murray fan. But this is a guy who's been the Arizona Cardinals quarterback for 7 years. In those 7 years, the questions have always been around since day one, obviously about his height. And does that hurt his ability to play quarterback? Does that hurt his ability to be a straight-up pocket passer in this league? And then the conversation started about turning the ball over. Or in the big games? Can he get it done? Last year, we saw it coming out of the bye. I mean, that was a team that was 2-4 to start, rattled off 4 straight, goes into the bye in a playoff spot, in a real chance to make some noise. Couldn't get it done. 2 really bad games against Seattle for Kyler Murray. And I think for a lot of people, that was it, right? They go 8-9 last year. He starts all 17 games and just wasn't good enough. And this year, he off to a 2-3 start. And again, I think a lot of people just think he's just not good enough. So they make the change to Jacoby Brissett. And it's not like Kyler Murray hasn't been here long enough and they're going to go back to him. This is a guy who's been a Cardinal, signed an extension. But that's what I want to get into. He signed that extension with a different regime. 3 years ago, Montias Forth gets hired. They go out, they get their guy in Jonathan Gannon, who, listen, this year, I think especially people in this town, people on this show, including Chris and I, have certainly had our questions about Jonathan Gannon as the head coach of the Cardinals. Is he going to continue? But I think the biggest point in me bringing that up is they're not tied to Kyler Murray. They didn't sign that extension. And for the first time since signing that deal, it feels as if the Cardinals are able to get out of it. And they're going to have to probably do it via trade. I'm sure there are teams that would be interested in taking a chance on Kyler Murray. I don't know about a chance on that contract, but certainly a chance on Kyler. Because this is a guy who has been efficient at times in his career. Talk about 2021, right? They start off great. They have a little sputter towards the end of the year, but that offense could put up points back when they had DeAndre Hopkins and Zach Ertz. And they go in, they have a tough end of the year. They go into the playoffs, have to travel to LA, and we all know how that one went. But I think a lot of people's turning point on Kyler Murray has been the last few years. And the reason I pointed out what Code had said over on the YouTube is you look at some of these young receivers across the league. Do you think in his rookie year, and evidently clear, Jamar could play from pretty much the first game, but people forget, remember, he had a drop problem in the preseason. Who knows how serious that was, but he did. Do you honestly think Joe Burrow wasn't making an active effort to get the receiver they picked number 5 overall the football? Do you think that last year the Giants weren't making an active effort to get Malik Neighbors the football? Or how about even picking him at 21? You think the Vikings weren't trying and Kirk Cousins wasn't trying to get Justin Jefferson the football? Like, that's my conversation. Is, for me, the numbers aside, the quarterback of this team hasn't helped the development of the player you spent the number 4 pick on. And that's the last straw. The straw that breaks the camel's back for, I think, a lot of people in this town. So the question I started this segment with is, do you think we'll ever see Kyler Murray start a game for the Cardinals again? And where I sit on it is probably not. You know, again, barring injury for Jacoby Brissett, but the way this offense has looked in 3 weeks, do you see them taking a step back? And I know this Cardinals schedule, it's not a cakewalk here for the rest of the year. It's certainly not. But you got Seattle on the road. That's a good defense. Let's see what that offense looks like up in Seattle. And if they play another good game, I can't see them looking back and saying Kyler's going to be our guy for the rest of the year. Because it was said in the YouTube chat, and I said it in segment number 1, to turn around and go back to Kyler Murray, it feels like you're stepping back and losing the locker room. And for Jonathan Gannon, I don't know if you have that leeway anymore. Now in year 3, off to a tough start to the season, do you have the leeway to make a move back to Kyler Murray after saying to all of us, maybe not on thin ice, but think that seat is starting to warm up for Jonathan Gannon, because this was supposed to be the year they took another step forward, and to lose 5 straight games, but not only to lose them how you did. And mix in the Titans only win this year in there. I mean, gut-wrenching. And you go back and, yes, we can talk about a team that's maybe a few plays away from winning a couple more football games, but a few plays away from maybe losing a couple more football games. And for the first time all year, I thought Monday night, they put the game away. That's the first time they've done that all year long. And that's why you ride with Jacoby Brissett. Kyler Murray, I can't see him suiting back up for the Cardinals and running out there as their starting quarterback. Again, barring injury. 7 years, it has been Kyler Murray's team. They've made the playoff once, and they have 0 playoff wins. I think everybody in this town, everybody that is a fan of the Cardinals that works here in the media, is probably thinking the same thing. It's time to move on. You've had the runway. It isn't 3 seasons with a building roster. It's 7 seasons with a team that has now drafted a receiver number 4 overall, with a team that made the big acquisition, went out and got you DeAndre Hopkins, went out and traded for the Eagles for Zach Ertz at the time at the deadline, added pieces to a team that felt like they could get over the hump and make a playoff run, and fell by the wayside towards the end of the year. I know Cliff maybe has a fault in that. Certainly has a fault in that. But I don't think there's any argument, so does Kyler Murray. And at the time, Kyler was a little younger, and you can push off those great seasons and say, yeah, but okay, we're building something. But as those problems continue to linger on, doesn't feel like he's growing from it anymore. And at that point, for a regime that didn't sign this contract, I think they're going to move on from Kyler Murray, and I don't blame them. So do I think Kyler Murray will ever get a start in a Cardinals uniform again? I don't. I think this is Jacoby Brissett's team for the rest of the season. And then moving forward, they'll address a quarterback in the offseason. That's what I see for this Cardinals team. Give me a call. Let me know what you think. 480-864-1060. Again, I would appreciate that in the break, trying to get everything done here in the producer's chair, also hosting the program. But would love to hear from you guys and what you think. Are we going to see Kyler Murray in a Cardinals jersey again? All right. And we continue on. We got overreactions next. We typically do those with Chris. Just me today. NFL overreactions. That's next here on the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
James Out West, your desert destination for sports here in the Valley.
And LSU said, yeah, we've had enough. They've had enough of the experience of Brian Kelly losing 3 out of the last 4, and 2 of which lost to his coordinator. They were ex-coordinators of him. And the last 3 coaches they've had, they've all won national championship within 4 years. Coach O did it. Les Miles did it. Nick Saban did it. Brian Kelly did not. Yeah, out. Now the question is who do they bring in.
Back Coach O.
Can't wait to see who that's going to be. No, I think he burned in bridges.
Every other Monday night from 6 to 7 p.m. here on KDUS AM 1060.
Head coach Brian Wright and the Lumberjacks are setting a new standard in Flagstaff.
Happy with our attitude, our effort, how we've come together as a football team.
Join us Saturday. NAU hosts the Northern Colorado Bears. Our coverage begins at 2 on your home for Lumberjack football.
Skips his way into the end zone. Touchdown, Lumberjacks.
The NAU Lumberjacks Sports Network from Learfield.
Millions of fans agree. This Christmas tradition rocks. Trans-Siberian Orchestra, live in concert, presenting the Ghosts of Christmas Eve, the best of TSO and more. November 30th, 2 shows, 3 and 7:30 p.m. PHX Arena. Tickets on sale now at livenation.com. Trans-Siberian Orchestra, presented by 100.7 KSLX.
Hi, I'm Emily, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company, where a small box with a burgundy bow will help you win the holidays. As an in-house designer, I love creating meaningful, fine jewelry gifts. Choose a necklace with a gorgeous infinity charm to symbolize your everlasting love, or go for a personalized piece with an engraving, their zodiac sign, favorite color gemstone, or their initial accented with pave diamonds, because a friend wants you to be a holiday hero. Stop by or shop now at shaneco.com. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Fridays at 5, I'm out exploring. From hiking up Camelback to skiing at Snowbowl, the adventures never stop with AAA. It's membership that travels with me, whether behind the wheel or a passenger. In my ride, my buddies, or a rental. AAA's got 24/7 expert help with tows, battery help, and more. Plus branch services like free passport photos and trip planning. Membership gives you all this and more for less than $6 a month, and I can add loved ones for half off. Call or visit your local branch today. AAA, your membership to go.
I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. The NFL trade deadline didn't disappoint, and the biggest shocker came out of New York as the Jets hit the reset button, sending two-time All-Pro cornerback Sauce Gardner to the Colts in exchange for 2 first-round picks and also a wide receiver. On the surface, dealing a player as gifted as Gardner feels like football blasphemy, but this might actually be one of those rare win-win trades. For the Colts, this is a championship caliber move. They added a true lockdown corner when he's at his best. Gardner's been PFF's top-ranked cornerback since coming into the league, giving Indy a defensive piece that perfectly complements their explosive offense. His play has dipped recently, currently ranks 22nd among corners, and unloading the $120 million contract clears major cap space. Add in now 5 first-round picks over the next 2 seasons, New York suddenly has some flexibility and maybe hope. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. It's being called the Golden Bonanza Sweepstakes. Thanks to our friends at Mako, the DP Show, proud to be a part of this, giving listeners a chance to join us in San Francisco for Super Week. That's right, a trip for 2, including round-trip coach airfare, 3 nights, hotel stay, ground transportation, and VIP access to see us do our show. If that's not enough, Mako also giving away 5 free paint jobs and 10 Mako and DP Show swag bags as runner-up prizes. It's really simple to enter. You go to danpatrick.com. The best news, you can enter daily for a chance to win. You can also receive a 25% off coupon to use at any Mako shop. Visit any Mako location now for a free estimate and redeem the coupon. Terms and conditions apply. Remember, go to danpatrick.com for official rules. No purchase necessary, void in Alaska, Hawaii, and where prohibited. Open to contiguous U.S. D.C. residents 18 or over. Ends 11/23/25.
On your ride home from work, join in on the Sports Zoo with Dave Rooster Bierstein.
If we owned our own football team called the Angry Roosters and we kept signing people to contracts and they weren't honoring their contracts and kept demanding raises, at what point do we throw our hands up and just say no to everybody? We signed you to a contract. Play out your contract, and that's it. You earn a better contract on your next one, we'll pay you for that.
Live weekdays from 5 to 6 p.m. here on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Welcome back into the Wednesday edition of the Lunch Break. I'm Evan Reiser, hosting in place of Chris Schubert today. Chris feeling a little under the weather. And last segment, we got into Kyler Murray and what the future holds. Is he going to get another start for the Cardinals? And during the break, we got some calls in. I asked people, call in, give me what you think. And so we got Dave on the other line. Dave wants to talk about what he thinks is possible for Kyler Murray's future as an Arizona Cardinal.
Yeah, Evan, listen, thanks for having me. First-time caller, long-time listener. I got to tell you, he's the bum. You got to get rid of him. And if you're going to get rid of him, there's a place for him over in D.C., isn't there? I mean, my goodness, that guy lost his arm on a hip tackle, and no flag, no nothing. But they got a real void there. Marcus Mariota, style offense. I don't know that Murray can do it either. But listen, you're looking to dump a guy. Here's the place to dump a guy.
Yeah, Dave, thank you for calling in. I really appreciate it. And I think it's an interesting point because, what does the injury entail for Jaden Daniels? That's the big question in that conversation. And there's no doubt about it that this team is going, and this team referring to the Commanders, is going to roll with Jaden if healthy. Because he's their guy. He's the one they took number 2 overall for a reason. He had that great rookie year, took him to the NFC Championship. They're going to roll with Jaden, but it's an interesting conversation. And Dave touched on something that I don't think anybody has really had the conversation about. The old the hip drop tackle, the newest rule in football, it feels like. And was that a factor? To be honest with you, I don't know. I would have to watch the play again. But a horrible injury for Jaden Daniels, and we're wishing him a speedy recovery because when on the field, Jaden is special. Jaden is how about this? Jaden is everything they wish Kyler Murray was in this town. In all honesty. Everything they wish Kyler Murray was, they wanted is what Jaden is. And that's a true conversation. We also got Keith here on the line. Keith wants to get in. Keith, how you doing?
Good, Evan. Thanks for taking my call. Quick question for you concerning Kyler Murray and Brissett. Everybody's talking about Murray's future. What about Jacoby Brissett's future? I think we all realize that he is not the answer long term. So they make this move. You're right. It's probably over for Kyler. But what are they doing next year? Because you and I both know Jacoby Brissett is not the answer either.
I appreciate the call, and I think that's a great question. Keith, thank you for calling in. Jacoby, right, he's been a journeyman quarterback is the term you always hear. Right, started in New England, got a few chances in Indianapolis to be the starter, kind of took the reins there in Indianapolis in what I believe is 2017, started most of their games. It's a great question. It's a great question. What does the future look like for the Arizona Cardinals? I remember on this show, we had talked about Jacoby Brissett when they made that move and how I thought Jacoby added an element to this room of having a journeyman veteran that could give some insight to Kyler Murray, that if needed could be a steady hand. Turns out they needed it. What does that mean for the Cardinals? I think it would be all hands on deck to acquire a quarterback. And there are going to be quarterbacks available this offseason. It feels like that's always a talking point. But if you move on from Kyler Murray, what does it mean for the football team? And in all honesty, for this regime who isn't tied to Kyler Murray whatsoever, other than a contract that was signed previously to them getting here, are they willing to put the time in to draft a guy and start over? Because they feel as if maybe they have built the roster around Kyler Murray. They drafted Paris Johnson a few years ago, a guy we all like at tackle. They went out and spent the number 4 pick on Marvin Harrison Jr. They paid Trey McBride. They could use some help on the offensive line. They went out and signed James Conner to the extension. They used a pick on Trey Benson. Amari DiMercato looked good on Monday night. They have weapons offensively, and I think we all believe they need a wide receiver too, or maybe some other options. But I don't know if this team would seriously consider drafting a quarterback and restarting because of what they've done in previous drafts in previous free agency. This team, after going 8-9 last year, felt like they were ready to compete, maybe missed a pass rusher, went out and got the best pass rusher available in the offseason, the best free agent pass rusher in Josh Sweat. Doesn't that feel like a team that's ready to win now? Add the piece. They drafted Walter Nolan, and Walter Nolan's played one game, but man, I'm sitting here in the room. I'm looking around. I'm watching the game on Monday night like, oh, they got a guy. Oh, they got a guy. They went out and added Calais Campbell for what we believe to be his farewell tour. Calais has been great. Calais has been great. So this team felt like they made several win-now moves in the offseason. They thought the offense was good enough to stand pat, and defensively made some win-now moves. So are they willing to draft a quarterback? Even if it is in the first round, even if it is in the top 15, top 10, wherever they may be picking? Or are they going to go out and do it the free agency trade way? That's a great question. This segment was supposed to be overreactions. I think we'll get into that next segment. I got some good ones for the show today, but I wanted to continue that Kyler Murray conversation. And we're getting people jumping in here on the YouTube. Jacoby is not the future, just a breath of fresh air, says Brandon over on the YouTube. And I couldn't agree more. And I think that's what Keith was getting into on the phone. I don't think he's the answer long term. Nobody thinks they're going to go to Jacoby to start the season next year if they want to be competitive, if they want to be a playoff team like they thought they could be this year. But could he be a placeholder if the right quarterback isn't available via the draft, via free agency, via trade? Could he line him up next year and be the starter next year? In all honesty, I don't know the answer. I think this is a team that is going to be heavily in the quarterback market. And if you had to ask me, I don't think it's going to be one in the draft market. I think this is going to be a team that with this current roster and the way it's constructed, looking to add a veteran quarterback to this team. A team that is willing and ready to compete. A team that in what might be year 4 of the Monty Ossenfort, Jonathan Gannon era could be on the ropes. Could be on the ropes. All right, so we were supposed to do overreactions in this segment. We're going to push that to next segment. Overreactions, we typically do it on Tuesday. Today, we're going to do it on Wednesday. We missed Monday. So Overreaction Wednesday this week. That's coming up next here on the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060.
The Varsity Sports Show with Vince D'Alessio is your hub for everything high school and college sports. Join Vince and friends as they give you the full picture on student athletes and where they're heading. Live interviews with coaches across the valley.
Asking some of the tough questions.
Varsity recaps and in-depth interviews with tomorrow's sports stars. The Varsity Sports Show with Vince D'Alessio. Live every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. Here on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Pima JTED doesn't just work for students, it works for all of Arizona. Hands-on training, real-world skills. High school students become job-ready, and Arizona businesses get the talent they need to thrive. Without a skilled workforce, Arizona can't grow. But with Pima JTED graduates, our entire economy prospers. Join the businesses already investing in Arizona's future. Learn more at PimaJTED.org. That's PimaJTED.org. This message is sponsored by Potoff Private Philanthropy.
It's frustrating when people intervene on you, but they have problems of their own. It's like when someone sends you a text, but the text comes from their email address. I hate this. Your name at iCloud, they FaceTime you from their email address? Are you calling on a child's iPad?
Emmy-winning comedian John Mulaney announces his new tour, Mr. Whatever. Celebrity Theater, Friday, March 6th. Tickets on sale now at etix.com.
Ooh, Del Taco? Yep, they got these new boxes that are loaded with my faves.
Hell, big boxes, come on, can I get a Del, yeah?
Del, yeah. What was that? Oh, I bring these guys everywhere.
really enhances the experience.
Del Taco's El Big Boxes now come with bigger burritos. Try the $5 Classico, $7 Mex Fans, and $9 Amerimex box. More food, more flavor, more value. Only at Del Taco.
Price of participation may vary.
Hey, Benjamin, we've got a surprise for you.
What?
You've got brothers!
Huh?
$50 and $200 bills just like you.
Hey.
What's up? What?
We just got them for joining America First Credit Union and opening a new checking account.
And you're all going to live together at America First.
What? This is nice.
For a limited time, new members get a $250 cash bonus when they open a checking account with direct deposit or $50 with a youth checking account. So head to AmericaFirst.com and get your money working today. Membership eligibility, terms, and conditions apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
What makes the holidays the most wonderful time of the year at the Disneyland Resort? It's seeing the skies brightened with unforgettable fireworks, gathering with family for a Christmas fantasy parade, taking in the music, food, and fun of Disney Festival of Holidays, watching the dazzling world of color happiness, and so much more. It's a time filled with joy when the place you know and love is wrapped up in the holiday spirit. And it's made all the more happy during the Disneyland Resort's 70th celebration. So what are you waiting for? The holidays begin here from November 14th through January 7th. Visit Disneyland.com for important details.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
KDUS AM 1060 is your home for the Jim Rome Show.
This is what I mean when I say that was a collapse for the ages. An all-time tank job. Not only did the Giants lead 19-0 going into the fourth quarter, they scored 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns, and they still lost. The Giants were 99.8% to win that game, according to ESPN. But according to the Broncos, the number was actually 0.0%.
Here on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Welcome back into the lunch break on KDUS AM 1060. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us today. We've had a good crew over on the YouTube chat, had some callers. I appreciate it. First time ever hosting the lunch break, filling in for Chris Schubert today. Chris, a little under the weather. I've been dealing with a little bit of sickness all week, and we're wishing him a speedy recovery. I am stepping in his absence, trying to make sure the show goes on. And we talked the last two segments really about Kyler Murray and then the Cardinals' future if it is moving on with Kyler Murray, which we all believe it is, because it feels like you can't turn back the clock, right? And you can't go back to Kyler Murray after making the play to Jacoby Brissett. But typically on Tuesdays, we get into little Chris and I overreaction Tuesday, we call it. And we'll give a few overreactions in the NFL world. So I'll give you my three. We didn't do the show Monday, so kind of everything got pushed back. So we've got an overreaction Wednesday. Typically we do a top 5 list here, but without Chris, I don't want to get into the top 5 list. I'm sure we'll push that back later in the week. So overreaction Wednesday on Evan's edition of the lunch break here on Wednesday. Again, thanks for everybody for hanging out. First overreaction. The Chiefs fall to 5-4, and gosh, wasn't it weird this week to see them on Monday Night Football? If you tuned in, or Sunday Night Football, whichever one you were watching, if you didn't watch both, and they run the playoff graphic, and in the AFC playoff picture, Chiefs in the hunt. They're not in the picture. They're in the hunt category. One of the best in sports, by the way. Love seeing your team in the hunt. Always ends in a fun finish to the season. The Chiefs in the hunt, and I think that gets into my first overreaction. The Chiefs won't make the playoffs, and I kind of put this together for Monday's show, And some people laughed at me, but doing a couple blind resumes, and I think we all know we're going to start with the Chiefs. A loss to the Chargers, a loss to the Eagles. The Chiefs wins this year. They beat the Giants on the road in New York. They beat the Ravens. They beat the Lions. That's their most impressive win. They beat the Raiders, and they beat the Commanders. So those are their 5 wins. And listen, there were some impressive wins. It wasn't just a win against the Raiders. It was a 31-point win against the Raiders, and a 22-9 win over the Giants. But that Giants game, people are calling it the tackle that turned the tide, or however people are addressing it. That game was close at half. Arguably should have gone a different way. The Giants handled that end of half scenario pretty poorly. And that game gets flipped. So Chiefs 5-4 with not very many impressive wins. Certainly their most impressive coming in prime time against the Lions at home. Got to play 3 straight home games, won all 3. Beating the Lions in the middle of that. The Lions were banged up that week, but certainly an impressive win nonetheless. And let's look at Team B here, who I have pulled up as the blind resume game. A win over the Falcons, a win over the Dolphins, a win over the Cowboys, a win over the Jets, a win over the Packers. I think that is just as impressive as a resume as what the Chiefs have built. And when you sit back and you ask me, Evan, well, who are those teams? That's the Carolina Panthers compared to the Chiefs. And I think that's my biggest point here, is the Chiefs are back. The Chiefs are this. I get it. They lost to a good Bills team on the road. They're 5-4. And in a position that they got to fight back into the playoffs. They got to play Denver still. They got to play the Colts. And I know that sounds crazy. But Daniel Jones, I don't want to play Indiana Jones. I certainly don't want to do it in the Temple of Doom right now. So I don't know. Are the Chiefs seriously in danger of being missing the playoffs? You let me know. Is that an overreaction? The Packers will be a first-round exit. Packers are an interesting team. I think there's weeks where we think they're the best team in football. Honestly, there are weeks, especially week 1, first couple weeks of the season, I would have told you the Packers were the best team in football. But they do things like lose to the Browns, lose at home to the Panthers, tie the Cowboys. I mean, the Cowboys lost to the Cardinals on Monday night. Couldn't get the offense rolling. They put up 40 on the Packers. Packers couldn't move the ball against Cleveland, and that's a good defense. But I think a knock on the Panthers all year, certainly last year, they couldn't stop anybody. They go in, and they hold the Packers to 13. And it took the Packers' last drive to get to 13. That game was 13-6 for a long time. For a long time. And so the Packers are just one of those teams that, for me, I personally don't know if I can see them making a deep run in the playoffs because they have these weird missteps. So I don't know. Packers, to me, first round exit. You let me know. Is that an overreaction? Last one. NFL trade deadline yesterday. Again, I said this at the top of the hour. I thought it was probably the most active NFL trade deadline I can remember. Like, in all honesty, it was insane. I don't remember players like Quinn Williams and Sauce Gardner being traded at the deadline. You know, you see guys like Raheem Shaheed get moved. You see guys like Jacoby Myers get moved. Gosh, the Jets loaded up. And I'll be honest with you, I would sit here today, hand to the sky, and say the Jets won the trade deadline. In all honesty. I mean, they picked up 3 first-round picks yesterday. 3 first-round picks. I mean, that's insane. They got a second for Quinn Williams, too. I mean, they picked up 4 top 50 picks. It's insane. And how about the deal they worked out with the Cowboys? Let's say the Cowboys are good next year and the Packers stink. Well, they get the Packers pick. Let's say it's flipped. Packers are great and the Cowboys stink. They get the Cowboys pick. They get the lower. They get the better pick. They get the better pick of the Cowboys or the Packers. Just an insane deal. The Jets, the winners of the trade deadline in my book, but that gets me into my overreaction. The Jets are loading up here to trade for a quarterback. And I said this earlier. What if the Jets pick up the phone today, make a call to Cincinnati at the end of the season, trade deadline's over, make a call to Cincinnati and say, we'll give you 5 first-round picks for Joe Burrow. If you're Cincinnati, would you entertain it? But anyway, my point in this whole thing is the Jets bought so much room to maneuver and to go get their quarterback of the future, something they've been searching for gosh, it feels like my entire lifetime. And they have an opportunity now to probably get most of the quarterbacks in the league. I asked the question, how many quarterbacks are honestly out of the conversation for 5 first-round picks? Mahomes, Allen, anybody else? Crickets? In all honesty, I don't think there's a team in the league other than the Chiefs and the Bills that wouldn't trade their quarterback for 5 first-round picks. So my 3 overreactions. The Chiefs won't make the playoffs. The Packers will be first-round playoff exit. And the Jets are going to package their picks to trade for a quarterback. Well, that's Overreaction Wednesday instead of Tuesday. Again, thanks to everybody for hanging out. Got some new people over in the YouTube. We got one segment left. It's the leftovers before we hand it off to Jim Rome here at the top of the hour. We're going to do some leftover stories. I want to talk about the college football playoff rankings that came out yesterday. I want to get to some of these YouTube comments, respond to some of those. I know there's been a lot of talk about YouTube TV and Disney not getting it done. Couldn't watch Monday Night Football. I know for a YouTube TV guy in myself, I had to go out to watch the game, find somewhere to sit down and watch it. So going to talk about that. Want to talk about the college football playoffs. We'll get all into that. It's the leftovers coming up next here on the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
Join in on the Sports Zoo with Dave Rooster Bierstein.
Oklahoma City taking out everybody on their way to a championship. One of the youngest, I think the average 26 years old,
Yeah.
Rich. As long as they have the Derek Jeter, Michael Jordan team, or at least one person on that team, hopefully it's Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. They have a chance. And listen, it's human nature to be the best and think, I'll be the best again. And then you fall short. I'm going to say Oklahoma City will not go back-to-back.
Live weekdays from 5 to 6 p.m. here on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
The Maricopa County Air Quality Department encourages everyone to burn cleaner, burn better. Consider converting your existing wood-burning fireplace to gas or electric. And please remember, on no burn days, do not burn wood.
The Hits, live at Celebrity Theater. Friday and Saturday, January 9th and 10th. With special guest Max Gomez. Tickets on sale now at CelebrityTheater.com. A trip through all their best. Don't miss Sticks Live. Produced by Danny Zalisco Presents.
A noisy garage door is a cry for help that often requires only simple maintenance. However, if left untreated, could lead to costly repairs. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello from A1 Garage Door Service. Don't wait until a simple garage door repair becomes a major problem. If your garage door is noisy, if bugs are getting in, or if it struggles to open, your garage door is in need of repair. From simple repairs to upgrades, it's A1 from day one. We fix garage doors fast and with quality parts designed to last a lifetime. Our springs, rollers, and openers are tested by running them up and down, open and close, all day, 24/7, so you can feel confident with every A1 garage door repair. Replacing the bottom rubber on your garage door can have a huge impact on the number of bugs you see in your garage and in your home. Keep those creepy crawlers outside by calling A1 Garage Door Service today and receive the best service, best parts, and best warranty in the industry.
A1Garage.com, A1 from day one. Call today and take advantage of our $29.95 tune-up special.
At Winco, we're working to save you money. Every aisle, every department, every day.
9 stores in the Phoenix area, including the new Santan Valley location.
It's the Dan Patrick Show.
Shohei Ohtani had 2 home runs, 2 doubles. They also walked him 5 times, 4 intentionally. They've gotten to the point where he's getting Bonds treatment. I want you to pitch in shame. If you're going to intentionally walk him, I want you to throw the 4 pitches that look silly because you don't want to face him. I don't want it to be, hey, we're going to walk him and I point him to first base. Nope. I want you to acknowledge that you can't get him out and you throw those 4 pitches.
Weekdays, 7 to 10 a.m., right here on KTUS AM 1060 and the KTUS 1060 app.
Welcome back into the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060. I'm Evan Reiser, filling in today for Chris Schubert, a little under the weather. Wishing him a speedy recovery. We can get back, preview some cards for the rest of the week, talk about ASU football. How about Jeff Sims this weekend, by the way? We didn't even touch on that yesterday. 288 yards on the ground at a win in Iowa State. Jeff Sims, I know we're a little late on that, but give a quick shout out. By the way, they put his jersey from the Iowa State game in the Hall of Fame. Pretty cool moment there for Jeff Sims. First win as a starter in 3 years. Really cool little moment there for Jeff. And listen, it certainly puts ASU back in the conversation for, in all seriousness, a chance to play for the Big 12 championship, which could get you in the college football playoff. So it's a serious conversation, and very interesting. With that being said, and with talking about college football, the college football rankings came out yesterday, and these are the official college football playoff rankings. So the AP poll, when you get to this point, and you hate to say it, practically meaningless once you get to this point. But so anyway, the CFP rankings came out and they go like this. Ohio State going to lead the charge at number 1. We all expected that. You pretty much expected at least 1 through 5. Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, Alabama, Georgia. Those are the first 5 teams. First little change here for the playoff rankings. Ole Miss all the way up at 6. BYU up at 7. The Red Raiders get 2 Big 12 teams in up at 8. Oregon at 9, Notre Dame at 10, Virginia at 11, and Memphis, who comes in unranked, is the best team in the non-power 5s. So they are the 12th team in the playoff. So they're the 12th seed. So an interesting kind of list here. When you look at the playoff teams, how about Virginia they're ranked 14. They get in as the best team in the ACC. It's been a weird year for the ACC. I think a lot of people expected Florida State to be good after their opening win. I think a lot of people thought Clemson was going to be back in that conversation. Obviously, another year of Cade Klubnik, and that thing has gone sideways. Notre Dame, they had those 2 early losses. One to Miami, who has kind of hit the struggle bus recently, but one to Texas A&M, who has been dominant all year long. So Notre Dame at their spot at 10, very well deserved. A 2-loss team can now get in with the 12-team playoff. And I got to ask, the 12-team playoff is like this interesting thing, this interesting conversation. Some people want to add more teams. I almost think it's perfect. The one thing I think it does do is, in all honesty, it gives the best team a mulligan. And I think we saw that last year, right? Like Ohio State had 2 losses, and the second one bad. They lost to Michigan. Michigan was not good. That was a really bad loss. But because of the new system, they were able to get in, play a home playoff game, and then run the table from there. And that's where things got really interesting. But I want to get into the Big 12 teams because BYU 8-0, Texas Tech 8-1. By the way, forks up, go Devils. One loss comes to Arizona State. By the way, Arizona State got 4 votes in the AP poll this week, so did receive some votes in the AP poll. Also got some votes in the coaches poll as well. But the college football playoff rankings come out. Texas Tech at 8, all the way up at 8. The AP rankings have them at 9. That would be really fun, really good for the Big 12 to get multiple teams into the playoffs. And I think it would be something that, as an ASU fan, you want to see. Because I think that means that for the first time since they've gone to the 12 team, which has just been 2 years, then that large team in the Big 12 can get in. And so if Arizona State is having a year like they had last year, or a year where they go 11-1 with one conference loss and lose the conference, or 12-1, could they still get in? And I think now the conversation is happening that, yeah, they can still get in. And that's exciting news. That is what you love to see, because it only provides more pathways for the Sun Devils to get into the playoffs. And it may not happen this year. You're missing Sam Levitt for the rest of the year. You're already climbing an uphill battle. Jordan Tyson's been banged up. Don't know what he'll look like for the rest of the year. Luckily, he has the bye week to get healthy. But just an interesting conversation to see 2 Big 12 teams in the college football playoff rankings. And I know people have their thoughts on it. I know people have their opinions on it. Honestly, that's the interesting thing about when you have a committee rank it compared to how the NFL does it, because you have so less teams in professional sports. It's always interesting to see how the committee ranks it. And so very interesting again to see 2 Big 12 teams. I think that's very exciting. I want to get into some of these YouTube comments that we got about the YouTube TV and Disney dispute. I don't know if you guys have seen this. I don't know how many of you guys are YouTube TVs. But I'm a YouTube TV guy, and I couldn't watch Monday Night Football. So is that a big problem? Obviously, something that needs to be addressed. It's only going to get larger, because think about it this way. This week, they had Cardinals and Cowboys. The Cowboys, obviously, a massive fan base that's going to get involved. If it gets to next year, or next week, in all honesty, do you want Packers and Eagles fans involved? If you're YouTube and ESPN, you got to get this thing done. It's a crazy, crazy thing. And for those who have signed up for ESPN Plus, you also can't watch. You have to sign in with your TV provider, which means out of luck there too. So can't watch on ESPN Plus or the ESPN app. Can't watch on YouTube TV. I see Code talking about an HD antenna. Hook up an antenna, guys. I never even thought about it, in all honesty. And I know you can watch the Suns on the antenna. There's other ways to watch the Suns. But most of their games right here on Arizona Family, and you can watch those on the antenna right here in town. But, I mean, seriously, we can't get this figured out. We cannot get this figured out. Crazy to see. Code talking about the college football playoff says they're just being nice right now, Evan. They are going to drop BYU or Texas Tech after they play this weekend. Yeah, awesome to see, by the way, getting College Game Day for them. Texas Tech, BYU, another Big 12 matchup getting College Game Day. I think that's a fun thing. Yeah, I don't disagree, Code, right? Like, there's no chance that I think they get 2 Big 12 teams into the playoffs, especially with those guys playing each other. And we'll see how it shapes up. But who are you rooting for in that one? I think it's probably better for ASU, for BYU to go undefeated. If you still think ASU can win out, have the chance to make the conference championship game, then anything can happen. You win one game, you're in the college football playoff. But what are you guys rooting for in that one? I know it's probably better for ASU to have BYU win. I think it'd be fun to see some madness here in the Big 12. A lot of teams in the conversation, and it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how this thing finishes out. Also, I mean, you always got to talk about the SEC teams, right? They're all going to play each other at the end, always getting one falling out. How does that finish? Ole Miss, who has been great this year, and a fun story for Ole Miss. Really, really fun story. Everybody's talking about Lane Kiffin, if he's going to leave. Is he going to stay at Oxford? Or is he going to stay at Oxford, Mississippi? I think that's right. Is he going to stay at Ole Miss? That's a big conversation. So a lot of interesting stories with the college football playoff. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. As I filled in for Chris Schubert, we're wishing Chris a speedy recovery. Hopefully he's back tomorrow and we're back to normal. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being active in the YouTube. Thanks for giving some calls in. I appreciate it. You've been listening to The Lunch Break here on KDUS AM 1060. We'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.